Hi, my name is Mr. Anderson. I am one of the fifth grade band directors here in the Sycamore School District. We are really excited to be performing our first concert for you of this year. In fact, this is our first band concert ever, and you know what? They've done a lot of great work these last 2 months, and I know they're really excited to show you what they've learned so far. Before I go too far, I want to introduce some of the people that have been working with your students. As you know, I'm Mr. Anderson. I teach most of the band lessons over at West and South Prairie schools, and then I see all of your students after school on Mondays and Tuesdays at the middle school for their full band experience. Mr. Mertens, our middle school band director, does Mondays after schools. He might be hiding back there. Maybe he can sneak his head out here if he hears me. I don't think he hears me back there. Oh, sorry. And Mr. Goodman, our high school band director, teaches many of the lessons at North Grove, Southeast, and I think one lesson at West as well as doing Tuesday after schools. Is he back there, Mr. Goodman? Oh, he already came out. Okay. And Mrs. Mertens teaches a lot of the lessons at North and North Grove. So for a brief overview of our program, obviously your students have been studying for about 2 months now. They receive one lesson per week during the school day, and then one weekly full band rehearsal after school at the middle school. The busing has been working out great this year, and these students are really doing a great job. We've been working out of the Standard of Excellence method book series. Today, we're going to be mostly doing tunes out of that series. But as the year goes along, you're going to start seeing us add in several full band arrangements that are going to be a lot of fun for these guys. It's amazing how much they grow from this concert all the way to the end of the year. It really is. So from the beginning, we stress a few very important things. Number one, sit up straight. Number two, put your feet flat on the floor. Number three, keep your cheeks in when you play. Number four, get a big breath of air. Now, these things are things that we try to reinforce, and maybe you can look for them at home when they're practicing as well. We spent the first few band lessons working on getting a characteristic sound on each instrument. So, for instance, with our flutes, we had them playing into just the head joint for the first couple of weeks, which sounds something like this. And if they cover up the end, it sounds a little bit lower. With our other woodwinds, we practice holding the mouthpiece firmly with the teeth and the lips, and it sounds like this. A very unique sound. But with our brass players, we work on getting them to make a sound into just their mouthpieces by buzzing their lips. You know, it's funny because when they actually put it into the instrument, it sounds something like it's supposed to. But I always say that the mouthpiece buzz on a brass instrument should sound like an annoying duck. And I think that works out really well for them as students. So after learning how to put the instrument together and working on getting a characteristic sound and learning some of our first few notes, we play our first song. This is Hot Cross Buns. From the very beginning, we always tell the students that it is really important that they develop a solid practice routine to help reinforce the things that they are learning in their lessons. The more that they can reinforce those skills and other techniques that they are learning inside their lessons, the better they're going to become over time. Additionally, there's a level of muscle memory involved in playing an instrument. So a daily practice is really, really important for growth into the future. We recommend that each student practice about 15 minutes a day, at least, to start off, and that will help develop the skills necessary to be successful on their instruments. To help reinforce this a little bit, we have some practice goals. If by the second concert in January, they have finished 20 hours of practice. In the front of their band books, by the way, they have a practice journal where they can write down their practice minutes. They should put their minutes in each of the days that they practice, and then total it up at the end of the week, and then you, the parents, can initial that they did that at the end of the line. If they get 20 hours by the January concert, they earn the chance to attend a Culver's party where we have a free Sunday for them, and it's a lot of fun where everybody gets to celebrate that met their practice goals. Additionally, at the end of the school year, if you get double that, that's 40 hours. That's not 40 additional hours, that's 40 total. So the 20 that you did for the first one counts towards the 40 at the end. They earn a pizza party at the middle school that will happen in May. We'll take count of where they're at in probably one of the last week or two of their lessons for that in May. The next piece that we have for you is Clair de la Lune, which means by the light of the moon. So we try to do as much as we can in the lessons that they have. I mean, they have their after-school band on Mondays and Tuesdays, and they also have their lesson during the day at school. And we find that students find a lot of success in this setup. However, there are some limitations to it as well. There's a limited amount of time where you can work with us, and a lot of times it is a group lesson. And additionally, since it's only 30 minutes, some of that time is put towards putting the instrument together and taking it apart. And that's especially important on instruments like percussion or clarinet that have a little bit more setup and takedown, where they have to swab their instruments when they're done and things like that. It just takes a little bit of extra time because we want to make sure that your students are not missing too much class additionally to that. Sometimes that limits the amount of time that we can actually work with them. If you would like to get your students set up with more time to practice, private lessons are a really, really good way to do that. I'm going to be sending home a list of private teachers in the area that I know of sometime in December, so that you can use, if you would like to set up extra private lessons outside of the school day. This is a really great opportunity for students to get ahead, maybe get caught up if they're having a really hard time in their lessons, because it is a group lesson and we move at a pace that works for everybody. This is a really, really great opportunity for you to do that. That would be something you'd set up outside of the school district, and it might cost a little bit of money, but you can figure that out with your private teacher at that point in time. Our next tune Mr. Mertens is going to conduct, this is Country Walk.
Hi, my name is Scott Mertens. I'm the department chair here in Sycamore. And anyway, I'm here to talk a little bit about the Sycamore Music Boosters. It's a fine organization. If any of you have ever been to the Autumn Crafted Treasure Market here in the Field House, that's put on by the Sycamore Music Boosters. If you've ever been to A Note to Remember, which is our February fundraiser that we hold at Bloomin' Gardens, that is the Sycamore Music Boosters as well. They fund instruments. They fund a lot of scholarships for students, college scholarships. They fund opportunities, like for instance, many of our elementary school students are going to the Kishwaukee Symphony Orchestra. I believe it's this week, or very soon at least. They're going to go watch the children's concert. I believe it's this Friday. So it's fantastic work that they do, and it's a wonderful way of staying involved in your children's lives. Without necessarily, looking over the shoulder. You're looking over the shoulder without necessarily, you know what I'm saying? you're looking over the shoulder without necessarily hovering. So it's a wonderful opportunity, and it helps so many students, send students to music camps. And part of the reason that our music program is a huge part of why our music program is so successful is that organization. So again, I would recommend being involved in that group in some capacity if you're able. They meet on Thursday, the third Thursday of almost every month, including this week. They're meeting at 6 p.m. in the library here, which is down this front hallway and then in back here. There's some signs up that say where to go. But it's 6 p.m. And it's every Thursday. There will be some information coming out about Note to Remember, which is the Bloomin' Gardens fundraiser. We were always looking for help putting that on. That's where we have kind of a dinner, well, not dinner, but more hors d'oeuvres, dessert. We have the Sycamore High School Jazz Ensemble, which I direct, perform. We have the jazz choir from the high school performs. We have string chamber groups, and this year we're bringing in Carl Monska and I believe a jazz trio. He is a well-known jazz pianist in the Chicago area, and he's currently also playing in the Hamilton Pit. So downtown. So he's a very successful alumnus of Sycamore High School. You'll be seeing some ticket information in the media soon. But anyway, thank you. Our next piece that we're going to perform is Merrily We Roll Along, which is also known as Mary Had a Little Lamb. It'll be conducted by Mr. Anderson.
I'm going to invite Mr. Goodman out for this next piece. Once our students become comfortable playing in unison, we introduce them to playing in separate parts. This will prepare them for playing full band arrangements, which the students will be playing on their next concert. We introduce these split parts through the song Lightly Row. To start with, we're going to play the melody, then we'll play the harmony, then split the band into two different parts. First, the melody. Next, the harmony. finally, we put both parts together. This time, we're going to have the brass playing the melody and the woodwinds and percussion playing the harmony. You probably recognize most of the tunes that we've played so far. Maybe not all of them, but most of them. We find that it's really helpful to play familiar songs starting off because then students can hear what they're playing and make connections between what they're playing and the notation on the page in front of them. That helps us grow to being able to play things that are unfamiliar to us as we go along in the future. The next tune that we're going to play is called Good King Wenceslas. And actually, the next two tunes we're going to play are both holiday tunes. We apologize that we're a little bit early on them. We know that we haven't hit Thanksgiving yet, and we promise that we're not going to put any more than two of these tunes on you quite yet before we get a little bit worn down listening to holiday tunes for too long. This is Good King Wenceslas. So report cards are coming out later this week, and it is the end of the first trimester. We do give out a band grade. Band grades come out at the end of the first trimester and the end of the third trimester. So they will be receiving a grade in band for their first 2 months of lessons and on what progress they've been making so far. We have 3 categories that we grade students on. That is, brings instrument and music, shows evidence of practice, and shows growth. It's hard to bring down a student's progress to a single number, but what we found is that, with grades ranging from 1 to 4, 4 is the absolute highest. That means we're not going to give out a ton of them. We believe that 3 is meeting the expectations for band. So hopefully, with lots of practice, that will also help that whole growth component. They kind of go hand in hand. And also bringing instruments and music do to a certain extent, too, because if you don't have your instruments and music at your lesson, then it's hard for you to develop those skills in your lessons with a teacher to help mediate you at that point in time. We find that those things tend to go hand in hand. So please be looking out for those grades. Our next tune is another duet, also another holiday tune. This is Jolly Old St. Nicholas. This time, the woodwinds and percussion are going to play the melody, and the brass are going to play the harmony. Before we play our last tune, I want to talk to you just a little bit more. I know I've done a lot of talking tonight, so thank you for bearing with me, and thank you guys for bearing with me too. What makes this concert so special is that 2 months ago, these students could barely make a sound on their instrument. It's amazing to see how far they've come, and you're going to be amazed at how far they get by the end of the year. We've played all songs out of our beginning Red Book today. The last concert of the year is all going to be full band arrangements with different parts for every instrument. So you're going to be amazed at how far we come from right now to then and there. Our second concert, we start to sprinkle in a couple of those. Our next concert will occur on Thursday, January 18th. So mark your calendars. We've been including it in all our band notes, so that way you have those down. It's in the handbook that we handed out at the sign-up night as well. And our last concert of the year is on Monday, May 7th. The one in January is a really cool concert. It's a joint concert between the 5th grade, the 8th grade, and the high school symphonic band. That is a chance for all your students to see what it's like to move through the Sycamore band program. And I know that the older bands program some really fun music for them to hear that night too. It's always a really great opportunity for them. As the year goes along too, we're going to continue working out of these red books. Even though we're giving out some full band arrangements, you will use these in your lessons, but we're also, probably after the second concert, we'll start to be passing out some other handouts too with some other fun tunes. Your students might see tunes like Star Wars, maybe like the Star Spangled Banner, maybe like Yankee Doodle, maybe other fun tunes like Happy Birthday. There's lots of fun tunes that we pass out for your students. Iron Man, I believe, is one of them that we pass out too. So there's lots of really fun tunes that we get to play as time goes along. I think this is the first time they've heard this. So before I leave you this evening, 2 more things. Thank you so much to all of your general music teachers, Mrs. Christine Mertens, Mrs. Lisa Miller, and all of the work that they've done to really prepare your students to be ready for band. Making music and the development of your students started before just band. It started in their general music classrooms, working up and being able to build up the skills to be successful. Finally, when we're done today, all of their cases and stuff is behind the stage. So what we're going to ask that they do is they're going to file out back and go grab their cases and stuff, and then they'll come out and meet you in the hallway out here as they leave. So be looking for them to come into the hallway and come find you when the concert is over with. Our last tune is going to be conducted by Mr. Goodman, and this is Farm Out. You probably know it better as Old MacDonald. Thank you for involving all your students in band and in music, and we hope this is a really special experience for them.